What's going on, everyone? It's the Fantasy Football Almanac, back at it with another fantasy football video. Today we are going to be talking about top 30 running backs for Week 6 of the 2022 NFL season, so you guys can decide all your start sits, all your matchups for this upcoming week. Look no further. But before we get into it, if you guys could, go down and give this video a like. I am answering every single comment, so if you guys have any questions relating to fantasy football, please go down below. I am answering everything. And subscribe to the channel, turn that notification bell on so you do not miss another video. But with that out of the way, let's hop into our top 30. So the first three running backs I want to talk about are Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, and Nick Chubb. I mean, these are the top three by far. Yes, Saquon does have a little bit of a hard matchup against Baltimore, but he is too talented to be anywhere else. But honestly, in my opinion, one, but definitely top three at minimum. If you have Saquon Barkley, you're starting him, enough said, even if the matchup's a little tough. Number two, we got Christian McCaffrey. And Christian McCaffrey does also have a tough matchup going against the Los Angeles Rams, but at the same time, it's Christian McCaffrey. They did just fire their head coach, so there is a little bit of turmoil, but it might actually make it better for Christian McCaffrey. And the new quarterback coming in for Baker might check down a little bit more, whether it be PJ Walker or someone else. And then we got Nick Chubb going up against New England, and New England does present a pretty tough defense. They do have a really good run defense, but Nick Chubb has earned a top three spot with how well he's done this season, having over 100 yards in every game except for one, and in that one game he only had 87, so Nick Chubb's an absolute beast. He also had 3 touchdowns that game. So I'm not too worried about Nick Chubb, touchdown machine, and the offense needs him to succeed. Next up, Derrick Henry probably would have been right around here, but he is going on a bye, so instead I have Austin Ekeler, 2 straight 30-point performances. He looks like the Austin Ekeler of old, and well, yes, he's not getting heavily utilized in the rushing game. He is getting utilized in the receiving game and is getting all the important touches at the goal line, which is exactly what we like to see. And we know the touchdowns will come because of how successful this offense is. So I'm not worried at all about Austin Ekeler at this point. I think he'll be absolutely fine. I do have him a tier below because he is playing Denver, and Denver does have one of the toughest defenses in the entire NFL. I mean, we've seen them shut down team after team, but they haven't been able to put up any offense either. So we'll see what happens, but I think Austin Ekeler still deserves to be in this top 5, upper echelon type of running backs. Then we have Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon, we finally saw him become a lot more efficient this week, running for 5.5 yards a carry, and I'm fine with that. He also had 3 receptions for only 10 yards, but it's still 1.5 in half-point PPR formats, or actually 2.5 points. It's still 2.5 points in half-point PPR formats, so I'm not too mad. Joe Mixon, I mean, we know he's getting the volume every single week. As long as he gets in the end zone, you're a happy man. Even if he doesn't get in the end zone, you could still potentially be a happy man with the workload he gets. They are playing the Saints, a little bit of a tough matchup, but I'm really not too worried. I think no matter what, he'll get his. And then we got Dalvin Cook, and Dalvin Cook finally had his breakout game, 25 points off 2 touchdowns. So glad we could finally see Dalvin Cook play well. He's going up against the Dolphins, and this could be a game where if Tua Tagovailoa does not start, the Vikings could be up early and therefore run the ball a lot more. Dalvin Cook falls in the end zone. He's an automatic 15, maybe more. I would start Dalvin Cook almost no matter what. I think he's a middle tier running back 1, which is absolutely fine. The last 2 guys in my A tier are Alvin Kamara and Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor, I had to move him down just a little bit because of the high ankle sprain. I'm not sure how well he'll play coming back, and I'm not sure if he'll even play, but there has been some reporting that he may play. But I still am a little bit concerned with, a high ankle sprain, so I'm assuming that he doesn't play with this ranking, but even if he does, I don't know how healthy you're going to be coming off of an injury like that. So, I mean, I would start him if he's playing. You can't not start Jonathan Taylor, but I would start him with a high level of caution. And then Alvin Kamara, who I would actually have 1 spot above Jonathan Taylor. Alvin Kamara finally again having his breakout game, putting up 20 fantasy points, which must be a huge relief for all Alvin Kamara owners. Getting 29 total touches, which is absolutely awesome. Good game to watch. The Seahawks almost came back. But glad to see Alvin Kamara back at it. They are playing the Bengals. It's a decent matchup. Next, we're going into the B-tier running backs. These guys are low-end RB1s, high-end RB2s. And first, Leonard Fournette has always kind of been in this range, but that's where I have him. Right now, he is the running back 7 on the season, so could justify having him a bit higher, but Leonard Fournette always gets it done. Last week having 31 total fantasy points. But you're expecting at least 14, 15 out of him. He is playing the Steelers, and the Steelers' offense is terrible. So you should have a positive game script for Leonard Fournette. If that's the case, Leonard Fournette's going to play well. How well? I would put him at about 16 points. But we shall see. I think he's going to do really well this week. Next up, we do have a little bit of a surprise, probably for most people, but it's Rhamondre Stevenson. And we saw Rhamondre Stevenson, if he gets the full workload, he's going to dominate with it. I mean, 25 carries for 161 yards, 175 total yards from scrimmage, 18.5 points without a touchdown. This guy's a certified stud when he plays. Now Damien Harris is questionable with the hamstring injury, so I'm ranking him very aggressively here, I know, but I think that if Damien Harris does not play, Rhamondre Stevenson is a must start in every single format. He is playing the Browns, and this is going to be a very time of possession based game, so Rhamondre Stevenson will benefit from that, hopefully, but we'll see. I mean, Cleveland Browns have been in some weird game scripts this season, but I think it could be a good game script for Stevenson, and they're going to be relying on him even more with Zappy most likely coming in the lineup again. Yes, there's a chance Mac Jones plays, but even if he does, he's not going to be 100%. Then after that, we got Breece Hall. Breece Hall is a guy I also kind of wanted to rank higher, but I just don't think I could rank him higher just yet. Did have an explosion week with 27 fantasy points, getting a touchdown, having 100 yards receiving on only 2 targets, and he had the breakaway 97-yard run, and then also 97 yards of rushing, so 197 total yards from scrimmage. In your 5th NFL game, that is not bad at all. And this is a trend that keeps going up for Breece Hall as he's getting more and more snap count. His snap count has increased every single week since week 2. I think Breece Hall is a must-start, a high-end RB2 at this point, with room to grow to be that RB1, that beast, that top 5 running back in the entire NFL. Then 2 guys I probably am a little bit lower on than consensus, but we got Aaron Jones and we got Najee Harris. For Aaron Jones, he is playing the Jets, yes, but I'm just concerned with total volume with both of these guys, with Aaron Jones, with A.J. Dillon. We have yet to see Aaron Jones get over 20 total touches this season in both rushing and receiving, so that scares me a little bit. And this Green Bay Packers offense looks to be stagnating a little bit. They really don't look that great. I mean, they just lost the Giants in London, so I'm pretty concerned to start Aaron Jones. He could absolutely prove me wrong and have a massive boom week as he does 2 or 3 times throughout the season, or as he did week 2. But I'm just not a fan, honestly. I think most part you're getting 8-9 points, and it's not something you're going to be happy about at the running back position. But then next up, we got Najee Harris, another guy I am scared out of my mind of. He's playing the Buccaneers, which present a pretty hard matchup for him. Not only that, but he hasn't really been utilized that well. He hasn't had a single game scoring over 12 fantasy points, and quite frankly, the offense just looks really bad. I think if the offense looked better, maybe he'd be in some positive game scripts. But the thing is, he's never going to be in a positive game script because this offense is bad. It's downright awful. So I'm scared of Najee. He could even go a tier lower for me. He's the very back end of this B tier just out of respect for the talent he is. But the situation is too bad. Before I get into the next tier, if you guys could, please go down, give this video a like, give this video a comment. Again, I'm answering every single fantasy football related comment, and subscribe to the channel if you do enjoy. Turn that notification bell on so you do not miss another video. With that, let's get back into now the C tier of running backs, starting with J.K. Dobbins. And J.K. Dobbins is someone operating in one of the highest rushing octane offense in the entire NFL, and he's going up against the New York Giants. Well, the New York Giants do have a pretty good front seven. I think J.K. Dobbins will be absolutely fine. They should put up more points than 19, which is what they put up against the Bengals, and they only put up 20 points against the Bills. I'm looking for them to have a bounce-back week, and J.K. Dobbins should be a part of that. With potentially a touchdown or 2 in mind, I think J.K. Dobbins will exceed this expectation. The next person I want to talk about is Jeff Wilson, and Jeff Wilson is a running back that consistently averages over 70 yards a game, putting up 84, 75, 74, and 120, so he's averaging close to 90 yards a game from the line of scrimmage. While he's not heavily utilized in the receiving game, I think that is absolutely fine because of the rushing work he gets, and until Elijah Mitchell comes back, he's going to continue to be in that role, and it's a pretty good role. They are also going up against the Falcons, and we've seen the Falcons time after time. They stink. The 49ers should get into a positive game script here and quite literally run with it and utilize Jeff Wilson pretty heavily. Then we got A.J. Dillon, and A.J. Dillon is somebody that's kind of been falling down in my weekly rankings just a little bit. The first 4 weeks of the season, he was utilized pretty heavily, but now we see in week 5, he's limited to 6 carries. I think that is a tad bit concerning, considering we don't know the actual split between A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones on any given week. And until we do see something like that, I will rank these guys lower. If Aaron Jones goes down, if A.J. Dillon goes down, the other one automatically becomes an A tier back, potentially even an S tier back. But we haven't seen that yet. Both have stayed healthy. So I think this is about a fair ranking for somebody going up against a pretty bad defense, but is the running back 2 in their offense. Rounding out the tier, we got Kenneth Walker, and Kenneth Walker is going to be pretty heavily utilized in this offense now that Rashad Penny is down. And also they are playing the Cardinals. The Cardinals historically have had a pretty weak run defense. I'm not too worried about Kenneth Walker's floor. I think his ceiling might not be the highest because he isn't utilized in the receiving game. But he could have that J.K. Dobbins level floor if he's the one controlling most of the carries, which he most likely will be at this point. Moving on to my next tier, I got Miles Sanders to start it off, and I think Miles Sanders could have a case to go the tier above this. The reason why I don't is because I think a lot of his touchdowns are going to be vultured at the goal line from Jalen Hurts, from Kenneth Gainwell. All of these players look to steal from Miles Sanders, and Miles Sanders is not heavily utilized in the receiving game. So I'm a little bit concerned with Miles Sanders' overall red zone volume, but I still think he is a pretty good running back 2 to have in your offense. He is going up against the Cowboys, who do have a pretty tough defense, but this is a divisional game, so I'm assuming it will be a pretty high-scoring affair, especially if Dak comes back. But if not, they may run the ball a lot with Miles Sanders because the Eagles will most likely have a lead in this game. So the next player I want to talk about is David Montgomery, and David Montgomery coming back from his injury and already getting 72% of the snaps, which is exactly what we want to see. Yes, he only got 12 carries for 20 yards, but he did get a touchdown, and he also got 4 receptions on 4 targets for another 62 yards. He is going up against the Commanders, and there's actually a small chance that the Bears do go up against the Commanders. I'm not saying it's likely, but I'm saying it's possible, and David Montgomery could be in a more positive game script than the one he saw against the Vikings. Next up, I got Raheem Mostert, and Raheem Mostert is playing the Minnesota Vikings, but the reason why I like Raheem Mostert so much is because he's involved in 70% of snaps. I mean, if you're getting 15 carries and 18 carries alongside 3 targets a game, that's absolutely fine. He's pretty much phased out Chase Edmonds. Chase Edmonds has had 1 carry last week. So I think Raheem Mostert is the lead back in this offense. And again, if that's the case, if I'm getting lead back level numbers in an offense that might not be that great without Tua, but still should be a decent offense, I'm fine having Raheem Mostert here. And then lastly, Kareem Hunt. And while Kareem Hunt does have a tough matchup against the New England Patriots, I don't think he should be absolutely fine with a stable workload. And if Nick Chubb is forced to miss time during the game, Kareem Hunt absolutely skyrockets. I mean, that's not really factored into my rankings, but it's true. I mean, Kareem Hunt consistently gets 50% of snaps, consistently gets about 14 touches a game, and that's absolutely fine. That's why I have him here. Very stable piece. More of a lower-end RB2, but still an RB2 for sure. And then rounding out this tier, the last guy I have is Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon getting 56% of snaps in his first week in the full-time role, and he gets 15 carries for 54 yards, another 3 receptions. I mean, I think he deserves to be here. The ceiling is not necessarily going to be there, especially with this poor Broncos offense. The floor certainly is, and I'm fine with that at this point with the buys that are going on. I mean, Derrick Henry being on a buy, Josh Jacobs being on a buy. A lot of people just need floor plays. So I think Melvin Gordon's a fine floor play. But that is it for this tier. Now let's move on to the next tier. And the first guy I got in this tier is Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I would like to have him a bit higher, but he's not utilized enough in the offense, which is my main concern. Only getting 5 points this week in fantasy, only getting 12 total touches, which is about what you expect for Clyde. But without the touchdown, it's really not all that great for him. He was a very, very prime sell high candidate, and maybe you still can with how good he was his first 4 weeks, but he's going up against Buffalo, and this Buffalo defense is insane. I imagine the Chiefs are going to be passing the ball a ton. I don't know how much Clyde is going to get involved, so that's why I do have him here. And then next we got Ezekiel Elliott. And Zeke is playing up against the Philadelphia Eagles, who do have a really stout run defense, so I'm pretty much backing away from Zeke. Even if he does get to work, which he might not because Pollard is involved, this offense isn't really good enough at producing fantasy studs that I'm just staying away completely from Ezekiel Elliott. If you need him in a pinch, I would start him, but I'm pretty concerned. And then next up, I got Eno Benjamin. And Eno Benjamin actually did a fairly decent job stepping in for the stead of James Conner. Well, he wasn't that efficient, only 3 yards a carry. He did get a touchdown, and he was utilized fairly heavily in the receiving game, getting 4 targets and having 13 total fantasy points, which is fine. You figure once he gets the reins for the full game, I think it's absolutely deserved that he's a low-end RB2 high-end flex play. Especially because, I mean, he's pretty much the only one in this offense. Darrell Williams is down, James Conner is down, and James Conner has never been a healthy piece. So I do like Eno Benjamin here. I don't think he's going to be amazing. I think he will be fine, and that is good enough. Going up against the Seahawks, too, this should be a shootout, so we know Eno Benjamin's going to be utilized in the receiving game. Next up, I want to talk about Travis Etienne and James Robinson. Again, I have them both together. Even though there was a time where James Robinson ascended to be that lead back, now it seems like it's more 50-50, and I think both of them deserve to be at least mentioned here. But Travis Etienne getting a little bit more snaps now than James Robinson, getting 53% of snaps this week, 71 yards, another 43 receiving. Now he didn't get a touchdown, but there was not a touchdown to be had in this game. It was a 13-6 game, so there really wasn't too many opportunities for him to score. And then James Robinson, on the other hand, only utilized on 40% of snaps, not really utilized as heavily in the receiving game, but also getting 10 rushing opportunities, which is fine. I would prefer Travis Etienne right now, but I still think on any given week, either of them could vie for that number one role in the offense because they kind of have been more so riding the hot hand. So we'll see, but I think both of them deserve to be here. And then Devin Singletary, my last guy, he's going up against the Chiefs. I wouldn't really love to start Devin Singletary, but if you have to, I mean, there's a chance he falls in the end zone with how many points the Bills score. But like I said about Clyde Edwards-Helaire, this is going to be a game basically where the teams are just passing. So I think Devin Singletary is not going to be utilized that heavily. Could be utilized a little bit in the receiving game, but I doubt he gets over 10 rushes a game. But anyways, guys, that is going to be it from me for the video. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you guys did, please go down, leave a like, leave a comment as well. I am answering every single fantasy football related comment. So if you guys do have any questions about fantasy football, please let me know. And subscribe to the channel, turn that notification bell on so you do not miss another video. But with that, that's it from me. As always, guys, have a good day, a good night, and a good life.